lyric of the year for me, fucking is a dangerous game.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I just paused it and I didn't even let him finish it. I was just like, you got it. There you got that right, brother.
Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined as always by my preparing for our hurricane co-host Alexander Volt. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole new discography per episode, except for these EAE singles episodes where we discuss one new album at a time. And what are we discussing today?
We're discussing the latest album by Oxbow entitled Love's Holiday.
Ooh.
I know our Patreons are excited about this one.
Oh, indeed. Check out the Patreon. Please check out the Patreon. This is big time news for a podcast like us, but not for the rest of the world.
Yeah, this may be our most like hotly requested like new album.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Also, I made a comment about the hurricane. This episode is coming out a week after that. So maybe we died, maybe we didn't. We'll see.
Our friend Hawk was like, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I told him, I was like, have you seen what the Pacific North, like we're engulfed in flames right now. And then I saw a clip of like lightning coming out of a volcano. I was like, we're dead.
Which volcano? I call bull. To be fair, I was driving back from Northern California.
Yes.
And on the way back, it was like 90 degrees at, like 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Full on lightning storm. And it felt very apocalyptic.
Yes. So whatever. We might be dead right now.
That's cool. We could be dead. Hello.
Let me see. Volcano in Guatemala.
Have
these like crazy like lightning bolt.
That's very apocalypto.
Yes.
That was a terrible fuck. That was awful. Sorry. But Oxbow, we're talking about Oxbow. This is a cool band. Prior experience with Oxbow?
Very, very little. I've heard the Thin Black Duke, and I had no idea how long they've been around. They're basically as old as I am.
I didn't realize that. I have so little experience with this band, and I'm a little bit ashamed because our boy Tom Osman, who you should all follow and support and help because he helps us and he does a lot of things for us, our history guy, he's a huge Oxbow fan, and he turned me on to them through our many email transpondences. Mm-hmm. That's not the right word, is it?
Transpondencies? I don't know.
Whatever. Conversations. And that's how I learned about the antics in Legend of Eugene S. Robinson.
Yes, I've always like seen his name brought up, but they're kind of infrequent when they decide to gift the world with new albums.
Yeah, they've been around a good while. I've never heard a full length. This is my first full length Oxbow album.
Not even the Thin Black Duke.
I've heard it. Nothing. I've only seen like live footage.
Okay,
and the live footage is excellent. Not only is it weirdly good audio quality and video quality, but then you get to see what Eugene's all about, and what he's all about is taking off his clothes on stage. I mean, every time his thing is to take off his clothes. And within a couple minutes, his pants are off, shoes still on. How that happens, I don't fucking know. But that's kind of his main thing,
yeah.
I guess.
The music videos for this are very entertaining. Well, it's not, not the same as live, but I watched a few of the music videos. I very much like the fencing and
I still have not seen them. I neglect music videos 100% of the time.
Yeah.
99.8% of the time I do.
I was just so taken by this album that I wanted to put visuals to it, and then Apple Music has like the music videos right there at the bottom. So
that's right.
Very easy to.
So we might as well jump into the album a little bit. You enjoyed it.
I love it. we're eating so good this year for heavy music.
It's a good year for heavy music. We've gotten a lot of great albums so far. And we're talking about more as the weeks go on. Yeah,
I am going to make some heartbreaking decisions in the year-end episode.
I'm already thinking about it, like what I'm gonna decide on, because this is great. This is great, and what I find also fun is that this is the beginning of my Oxbow journey, and if we
I guess me too.
More or less.
Yeah, because I heard it, but I never was like, oh, I need to dig deeper or like see them live.
And so I guess if we ever do an Oxbow episode in the future, it'll be fully chronicled on this podcast, which I think is nice. But I always feel very conflicted of where to start a new band if we're not covering them on the pod, when obviously we'd start with the first album.
Yeah.
So I always feel conflicted starting with the most recent album. I did that with Trail of Dead.
Yeah.
And here, I think it served its purpose of I want to hear more. So I think it's a fine entry point. I don't know if it's the best entry point because I haven't heard the others, but
yeah,
this album is pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool.
Really cool. I looked up a little track by track breakdown they did in Flood magazines. So I got a better picture of what they were trying to do here, because I think the lyrics are very important in an album like this, and they talk a lot about the duality of love. For example, 1,000 Hours is like, you could take that as a good thing or a bad thing, where like, oh, where did 1,000 hours go? I was having so much fun, or that felt like 1,000 hours. It was never going to end.
Yeah.
And I think this album does a great job of capturing beauty or heartbreak, depending on the mood you're in, which it's this like one of the like greatest like love stories ever told, where you're on these highs and sometimes you're being dragged through the mud and you're like, is this worth it? And just that duality of you can take these as good or bad things depending on how you frame it, I found very interesting.
That is interesting, especially with a band like this. Like,
yes,
given a masterclass on love, you never guess with this kind of thing.
This Eugene's voice is just so awesome too, and he does sing like it on the Black Duke, but I wasn't as well versed in music, and it's this crazy hybrid of Captain Beefheart and Chris Cornell to me.
Interesting, because he's not like a singer. He's not like belting out, like he's doing weird David Yao shit, not like David Yao.
Yeah.
But that's the closest comparison I can think of at the top of my head.
It's so interesting too, because it's like he's kind of channeling being a crooner at some point in this album, and it fucking works.
It does work. We have a couple notes from our boy Tom Osman. Please again follow him, because he interviewed the whole band pretty recently on a podcast for Ghost Cult Magazine podcast. You can find a link to that in the description. Check out the full interview. It's very, very cool stuff. And it was all regarding this album. And you brought up 1,000 Hours, which that song fucking absolutely rules. It features Roger Joseph Manning Jr., who's a keyboard man. He's a keyboard man. I don't know any of his stuff personally.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was playing an instrument or the vocals, because that song has this choir, and I'm like, this sounds like something you'd hear in like a Philharmonic. It's crazy.
It could also be part of the synths. Just
that's true too.
He's in like Jellyfish, the Moo Cookbook, the Licorice Quartet. He does a bunch of stuff. Again, I'm not familiar with any of it, but God, that song is absolutely gorgeous. Dark and melancholy. Really great guitar leads and layers. Eugene sounds fucking weak and dying, really hopeless sounding. He
sounds like that at a few points. And I do like in some ways the opening two tracks, they are the most energetic and they're kind of misleading.
Very.
But also I'm like, that's how love is. You rarely or maybe never start off love from a low point.
It wouldn't take off, I imagine.
No, so I'm like, oh, after reading that, I was like, oh, that makes sense to have these like high energy things in the beginning, and then you kind of get more sentimental or depressed or whatever.
Yeah, you hit the reality of whatever it is. But for 1,000 Hours, some of the things that Tom noted that he got from the interview, he says that Eugene doesn't ever sing when they're practicing songs. It's always been like that. The other guys work on the songs together, and Eugene just listens, figuring out lyrics. Mm-hmm. So they have no idea what he's going to sing until he records it. One really interesting approach to making music, that the whole band has no idea what this fucking madman's gonna come in with.
Honestly, that sounds like the best way to do these songs.
For these songs in this kind of band and his type of approach, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I always find that, I mean, it's different when it's a full band, I imagine, but like there's something about writing lyrics after a song is completely finished, where I mean, it changes everything. It changes the whole song. I think it's far more realistic and interesting and better for a band. Like if you're a solo person, I mean, I make my music by myself. So it's like, I'll get attached to the song without vocals and lyrics. So when I try to make vocals and lyrics for it, it changes completely and it becomes a very difficult, lengthy process, which is, I think for a group dynamic, that's actually way more effective and way more realistic and good. But it's also, I like the wild card aspect of the band doesn't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just it kind of feels like it'd be wasted not to, right? Like his vocal performances and apparently live performances just sound so crazy. Like
they sound crazy, they look crazy, they are crazy. Tom also said the Nico, the guitarist / pianist arranger, used to use a lot of alternate tunings. He more or less stopped doing that on the previous album because it was too much hassle to have to keep returning guitars on stage. Boy, do I fucking get that.
Oh,
holy crap.
I believe in the
retuning, not returning.
I don't know if he brought it up to Tom. I think it was Nico or Dan who also brought up working out melodies, like as they were putting their kids to bed or like getting up to take care of their kids,
their families and stuff.
So it's
such
like
a realistic approach to making music for a band like this.
It's like when you're at your foggiest, right? Like
also when you have your real life, it's not like this. It's not the romantic starving artist. You're on your own. You're on the road. You're in a studio with nothing, or you're not like super loaded in your home studio. It's you're taking care of your fucking kids.
Yeah,
you're still working your job. You're still like that's the kind of band this is. A real blue collar group of guys.
They are the most blue collar.
Oh yeah,
and it just kind of comes through. Even though this is a really, in some ways, like a grandiose album, but it's just like you can feel it.
Yeah.
What else is good here? I love some of the lyrics, and it makes me excited to go back and listen to them. Like there's like the double entendre on Icy White and Crystalline. When he says, you don't know how heart burns, but it's phrased in such a way that it sounds like literal heartburn. And then lyric of the year for me on the second talk, fucking is a dangerous game.
Yes it is.
I just paused it and I didn't even let him finish it. I was just like, you got it. There, you got that right, brother. Can you win a Nobel Prize for music? Because
he's such a fucking interesting guy and a very insightful guy.
Well, I guess since we're just going to be all over the place in the spirit of this, in terms of him being an interesting guy, my favorite quote from him was regarding the song "The Night the Room Started Burning."
Yeah.
He said, "This grew out of a dark 5 days ensconced in a hotel room, eating nothing but blanc mignon," which is like a dessert thing, sweating and burning the candles brightly from both ends. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I
Why?
Why would you do that to yourself?
You can't question this man. He'll beat you up because he's also a fighter.
Yeah. Like I could see all sorts of different scenarios for being trapped in a hotel room, travel issues, whatever. But eating nothing but dessert.
That's fucking genius.
For 5 days straight.
Yeah. Sweating.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Dude, Eugene is so fucking fascinating. So he's like he's an MMA fighter. He has like his own like YouTube show and channel. He's big on history. This is according to his YouTube about history, UFOlogy, literature, philosophy, not ready for primetime humor, sex, comedy. And he's also a journalist, of course, award-winning journalist and author. He's just all over the place. He's such an interesting, most interesting guys in underground music, period.
Doesn't stop.
For some of the backstory, for 1,000 Hours, apparently, it was like a really slow dirge when the band started jamming it together, but it ended up getting sped up. And Tom says, I think it was more the drummer who had the idea of it being slower, but Nico envisioned it being more kind of euphoric, which it ended up quite being. Some of the other stuff here, we have the namesake of the shirt I'm wearing, Lovely Merc, has Lingua Ignota on it, which it got me on board already.
Dude, that song rules.
Definitely.
I know she's like going to retire the brutal era of Lingua.
Well, she's retiring Lingua, I think, entirely. Yeah.
So shall this be Kristen?
I think at the end of this fall, there's no more Lingua. Lingua's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Sadly for us.
But yeah, she's not singing lyrics, it's vocalizing. And then she's not pushing herself to those extremes.
Not even close.
It's a very pretty part.
It's a gorgeous part. It's a beautiful song. It's like emotional, but it's very groovy. It's not sad emotional. It just has emotion to it. I don't know how to explain it more than that.
I felt the heartbreak in that song.
I feel the heartbreak in her vocals.
Yeah.
Like her layers are what make it. So it's an interesting song because it is groovy, and she has these beautiful, just vocalizing, her usual big giant choir voices, sort of backing up Eugene. And around halfway, it goes through this complete sudden classical break with these basically classical guitar lines, and then Lingua was doing this full-on operatic thing over it, and it's so fucking mournful and gorgeous. And the guitar arpeggios that he's doing there are really impressive, really cool. And then hops right back into the main thing. Apparently, Kristen or Lingua, whatever. Kristen vocals were sent to the band. She didn't actually record with them. And Tom says, as much as I've grown to like this album quite a lot, I think it does show that it's made in an age where people can record parts separately, which is kind of the MO these days. I think back to Mike Pad's Peeping Tom, and that was like one of the first albums where nobody was in the same room who recorded that album. Everybody's parts were recorded like different parts of the world, and now it's everybody. Now everybody can do that.
Yeah, it's almost become the norm. Which is it can be cool. There can also be distance and a coldness to it, but
not as much chemistry.
You don't feel it on this album.
No, it's super well done. And the choir elements and the really semi-symphonic elements are beautifully done. Like a full choir opens up All Gone.
All Gone rocked me.
Yeah.
Like a hurricane. Not in like a rocking way, like an emotional hurricane.
It is. That choir dips in and out throughout the whole song, and it's really floaty. Has this piano holding things together. Along with fucking stand-up bass, which sounds great. Heavy, but devastating and gothic. It's beautiful, but it's fucking painful. Yeah.
The exact quote that I was talking about earlier from Dan.
Dan's the pianist or the key player, yeah. I'm sorry, the bass player. Yeah.
He says, it's beautiful, honoring the way that intensifies exposing the brilliance of being alive, even when one might not want to be.
Oh, I get it.
Man. So yeah.
God damn, that fucking hurts.
And yeah, I felt it even before I read that. The piano is is great. It's just
definitely around 3:30. It just rips my fucking heart out. Like, beautiful, agonizingly beautiful choir comes on with this driving 4/4 beat and the sorrowful piano. A fucking great song, one of the best here.
The dessert depression filled The Night Started Burning.
Oh, The Night the Room Started Burning.
Sorry, yeah. I really made me think of King Crimson's Red a lot.
Oh,
the whole album. Yeah, the whole album, not just the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're tapping into a lot of unique things, but it's still Oxbow.
This album, as the songs go on, it just gets darker and fucking darker and darker. And by the time The Night the Room Started Burning comes on, it might be my favorite song on the album or one of the favorites. I mean, I just adore those guitar lines. They're like, I mean, there's some unbelievably beautiful moments on that one with some really great build-up, but I love the arrangements. They have these again, there's more choral vocals on there, but they're very ambient, very peripheral. Yeah, they're very peripheral. It's just fucking nice. And I mean, it's all devastating and dark, but it's just nice. And another example is track 7, which is just, quotation marks.
It's just like some plucking.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds. It's a 30-second interlude, and it's just fucking lovely. It serves its perfect purpose and then some. It's just a 30-second beautiful interlude. Takes up no space, but wastes none of your time by doing so.
I do kind of appreciate that this band, who probably, I'm going to assume, has a lot of music that's off-putting to normal people.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could show normal people $1 Million Weekend.
Yeah.
You could show normal people a few tracks off here, but
maybe a couple.
Yeah.
$1 Million Weekend, the strings on that, and they're not, I don't think they're real strings. I think they're synth strings, but they sound fucking great. And yeah, like the songs keep getting darker and darker, but they also get deeper and more intimate as they go on. Eugene is another one. He sounds like weak and dying and really draggy and sad.
You know what else I appreciate about this album that I realized right now when we're talking about all these like different layers on these tracks is they are kind of put forth minimally. It's never like a wall of sound.
No, you can really distinguish everything that's happening.
It's like masterfully using, I'm exaggerating, but like you can only do these things. How do you get the most out of them? And it's just a good excuse to be kind of minimal while also being like, we have choirs and
it's mixed really well. It's a heavy album, but it's not like chunky, chuggy, crunchy heavy. It's not like you're going to blast it loud and it's going to fuck you up. It's just, everything is very, I don't want to say itemized, but you can really hear every individual instrument and every individual texture, which makes it easy to kind of dissect, even though it's not like the most sonically satisfying from a heavy standpoint. Because like you look at the opener, Dead Ahead, where that's probably more of an Oxbow, a typical like, Oxbow kind of song.
I'm gonna assume
that is. But it's not like super heavy. It's dissonant and strange, and it's really quirky. And the bass is really dirty and heavy, and it sounds fucking awesome. But it's not like, it doesn't like kick ass or anything. It's not gonna like, you're not gonna bang your head to it. It's just like, it's heavy in a Jesus Lizardy kind of way.
I also like the unsettling, like weird high pitched vocals on that song.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus Lizardy, you got the second talk, which is toward the end is where things start getting a little bit more toward the stepping away from the, at least musically, stepping away from the emotional and beautiful and back to like the noisy and Oxbow. It's like razor sharp slide guitar with these pained Eugene screams.
Those ones like reverberate through my soul.
Yeah. The screams?
Yeah. It's just, I was like, I know you guys don't pay, like you deserve more money, but the money you do earn every penny.
They need more pennies. That's for sure.
They need more pennies.
Those slides really remind me of Beefheart slides. When I think of maybe some of the stuff, some of like the later era stuff, like Ice Cream for Crows kind of stuff. Really beef hearty slides. That's the only way I can put it. But it has like, it really reminds me of Jesus Lizard without sounding like the Jesus Lizard. Just has like the, I don't know, the spirit of it.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. The song kind of loses me a little bit toward the end, but it's still strong. And then Gunwale, the closer, this is a weird combination of words. Angelic, brutal sludge.
Yes, because at this point, which is, I'm going to assume some things because they were kind of vague about it, but from my perspective, it's like, this is the end of the relationship. You're beat down, you're dragged out, you're crawling through the mud wondering, is this even worth it?
That is painful. And the song is painful. It's not like depressing, but it is punishing. It's sludgy as fuck. I mean, it's intense, brutal sludge, but with the full-on choral vocals and organs. I would say it's oddly hopeful sounding, even though Eugene is screaming like he's dying, and the bass is so low and heavy you can barely qualify them as notes.
Well, yeah, I think you can get both from it. Yeah. The way they talked about it.
Yeah.
If you're applying the 1,000 hours logic,
that is true, because those angelic layers behind everything give it a feel unlike any sludge song I've ever heard.
No,
ever. Yeah.
It's much like in the spirit. It's more like in the spirit of sludge metal versus.
Yeah, because obviously, as someone who doesn't know sludge or enjoy sludge wouldn't know the difference, but I can't compare it to any sludge I've heard for sure. Because when I think of sludge, I think of obviously slow and heavy, but kind of it pumps you up. It's mean. That's not mean. It's not a mean song.
Yeah, this is not some. And also, I feel like sludge, it's kind of easy to pivot into some psychedelic things. That song never does that.
Yeah,
you couldn't even imagine it going to that place. So I really like the colors they're using and the different genres to make this. As someone who's not very familiar with Oxbow, this like unique kind of out of. I think even for Oxbow, because they record kind of infrequently, like here's this immaculate crafted album, and you may not know where we're coming from, but you're gonna like it.
And I put a huge asterisk next to "you're gonna like it" because I mean it's beautiful, it's brutal, it's groovy, it's hooky, it has it all, but it is far from accessible.
If you're like us, you're gonna love it.
If you're like us, I guess
that's the asterisk.
Yeah, because it is. Because even at its most beautiful, it still has really abrasive and unusual choices. Mm-hmm. So there's there's a huge little caveat there. Like it's brilliant and beautiful and really smart, but it is a lot. It's not like extreme metal a lot where you just put it on and you put it on for someone who's not ready for it. And they're like, oh, turn this off. Fuck this.
Yeah.
There'd be like, this is weird. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about this.
Why did you put on a homeless man screaming at me right now?
That's typically our favorite kind of music. It's homeless men screaming anyway.
David Yao, Beefheart.
Every singer from Can, as we discussed last week. But yeah, it's complex. It's insanely creative and totally unique. But it requires a lot of listens and a lot of open-mindedness to really digest and understand. If you're not already kind of in this camp of what Oxbow is as a band.
Yes. So I think if you're cool, like your Patreon members, and you listen to cool music, this is you can't ignore this album this year. It's just I've put all the words I can I'll say almost all the words I can.
It's a good fucking album. It's certainly unlike. I mean, we've covered a lot of eclectic albums this year, so already, a good amount of them. Check all those out, by the way, please. And this fits in with none of them. I mean, again, for nerds, like this makes no fucking sense.
I don't like to use the term avant-garde. There's something dirty about it.
I associate that term with a lot of dicking around in purposely like. This is not musical. This is more experimentation than music.
Yeah. To me, it's also a big net, and I've never heard it in a way I liked, but that word.
Avant-garde noise rock or something.
Yes.
Something like that. That's oddly pretty and loving, even if it is painful. And
or maybe it depends on your mood. Maybe one day you're going through it and you're like, I really felt the pain. Or maybe you're like, I love this person so much, and you listen to this and you can hear the love for whoever. I want to meet the woman this is about. This is This is the noise rock version of Charles Bradley's Victim of Love.
Oh, you should check out that episode of a long time ago.
That's the funk cousin of this album.
Holy shit. Yeah, because
Eugene is officially a victim of love.
He's a
now.
victim of love. Yeah. Man, he is one great vocalist, like, because he's got a style. So I no longer like referencing Alexis Marshall because he's a fucking psycho asshole. Mm-hmm. But he's a good example of what I think of when I think of a straight up David Yow copycat who doesn't have like his own, I don't know, character. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like Daughters as a band, but I never liked his vocals. Mm. And this is like, you can put it in the same playing field as that kind of Birthday Party, Nick Cave, David Yow, where they're losing their shit, but it is entirely his own style, his own personality, his own unique thing, where no one sounds like him, but you can at least associate it with something you've heard before, like a David Yow or Nick Cave.
Yeah, you have the language to describe it and reference it to other things, but when you hear it,
it's entirely his own.
Yes.
It's great. I fucking love his voice. And it has this like really tough quality to it, especially in songs like Dead Ahead when he's like more shouty and barky. Mm-hmm. And then you get this stuff like, All Gone or 1,000 Hours, where he's just kind of groaning and it sounds sad and he's dying.
Or even because in Lovely Merc, Lovely
Merc, yeah.
There's like a scene where he's like ascending to the heavens. So it's like
it's a cool album. You guys got to support Oxbow. They fucking rule. And we will, I guess, do a full episode on the band's discography if we can. If we can get around to it at some point.
My jaw hit the floor when it said they'd been active since '88. I was like,
damn.
I was like 99 at the earliest.
It's so crazy, man. The first release is 89. Yeah. That's at least according to their Bandcamp, which I imagine is up to date and has everything they did, because they're not exactly receiving boatloads of cash for this music, considering I imagine they all have day jobs.
But they fucking should, goddammit.
This is the kind of band that makes me sad, along with, even though Swans is like the top end of successful for what they do, they're still broke and they're still like spend all their money on each album. This is what I mean, where like every member has to have a day job, and it's not fair that they struggle because they're creating real fucking art, man. They're really putting their ass out there, really putting their entire heart in this, and they're so good at it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the live footage, they're one of my favorite examples of a band where they're not counting Eugene. There's 3 dudes on stage making this music, and it sounds gigantic. And you wonder how the fuck 3 people can make that. I think the same with like a shellac.
Okay.
How the fuck do 3 people make this big of a sound on stage?
Yeah.
It's so impressive. I love it so much.
Definitely going to try. I see they're in the UK currently, but you know.
They're playing the Region in November in LA. I really hope I'm in town for that. I honestly don't know if I will be.
To quote Mr. James Ingram featuring Michael McDonald, "Yamo be there."
Oh my, James Ingram.
He's the guy who did this song, and then it's featuring
really
Michael It's
so
not
Yamo be there. There's not even Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald is on it and sings it, but it's not technically his song.
Dude, 40-Year-Old Virgin gave Michael McDonald that song.
You know what? Michael McDonald can have a lot of things as far as I'm concerned. He's this... He is the yacht rock version of Eugene. This crazy choices. And Eugene's that good that I'm not going to call him the Michael McDonald, the noise rock version of Michael McDonald.
Yeah, no, it's the other way around.
It is the other way around.
Holy shit. Well, I suppose I keep forgetting the song I keep forgetting is an equivalent of this album.
I keep forget not in love anymore.
Sorry.
Shout out to Steely Dan. Check that out.
Oh, if you want fucking yacht rock, Jesus H Christ. But check out the album if you like weird abrasive music and if you're a nerd like us. And yeah, I mean, you support the band. It's fucking wild. And go check out that full interview with the band that our boy Tom Osman did with them from Ghost Cult Magazine. There's a link to that in the description if I didn't say that earlier, which I hope I did.
You did say it earlier.
Thank Christ. Yeah, because give a band like this as much time and attention as you possibly could because they fucking deserve it and they don't make a lot of money. But I guess that about wraps it up for this little doohickey of an episode. So thank you so much for listening and watching and supporting and helping. And if you do all that, if you don't do all that, you can go live your life somewhere else. But if you enjoy us and you want to hang out longer, like the video, subscribe, leave some comments, talk some shit to us, tell us why we're stupid or why we're gods among men. You can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Again, please follow Tom Osman, a history guy, at Tom Osman Sounds. On all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music. He put out most recently an album with existent, non-existent called Industrial State of Mind. You can find a link to that in the description, as well as my debut EP, Panda Monkey. Link to that in the description as well. Please, 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 patreon.com/every album ever for all the things about us. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls, decide who we cover next. You get to join our Discord.
Where I feel like everyone in the Discord asked for this album.
Exactly. We pull suggestions for our EAE singles episodes directly from our Discord. So go there if you want to be part of the little community there. And if you want a full discography request, tier 2, baby, that's where you do it. So please do that. Thank you very much. We are wrapping it. What are we wrapping it with? Which song we wrapping it with?
So I feel there's two options. Do I go Beautiful and Heartbreaking with All Gone? Or do I go Lyric of the Year with The Second Talk, where fucking is a dangerous game?
Second Talk is certainly more high energy.
Yes.
And a little bit more rocking.
I mean, really?
Do you want pain or you want some ass kicking? How do you feel?
I'm leaning more toward, if you're okay with The Second Talk.
I'm fine with The Second Talk.
Okay. It's so funny and great hearing that line.
Hell yeah. So thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.